So, new PlayStation 5 update confirmed, bringing good news. The PSP3 gets new leaks, and Sony Bend and their next project. Those are the stories we're going to cover today, and if you could hit that like button on the video, thank you to those that do it, and as always, it's very much appreciated. First, yes or no, do you want a Days Gone 2 or not? We're going to be talking about Bend Studio and what they have coming next and what's going on with them. But before that, would you want a new Days Gone or have you lost interest? So comment below yes or no if you want a Days Gone 2 or not. Let me know down in the comments below. Now diving into the first story of the video, Sony Bend and their next project. Reading from Push Square, Days Gone team Bend Studio has suffered a wave of layoffs that means 30% of its workforce will lose their jobs, a post from Bloomberg journalist Jason Schreier reports. This translates to around 40 people being laid off. In a Blue Sky post, Schreier said Sony's Bend Studio, which canceled a live service game earlier this year, is laying off 30% of its staff today, around 40 people, Bloomberg News has learned. The studio has been spinning up a new project following the cancellation. As the Bloomberg journalist points out, Bend Studio had a live service project canceled alongside remake specialist Bluepoint Games, which was said to be a God of War title. No details pertaining to what Bend Studios' game was have been made public. At the time of the cancellations, Sony said it would work with both teams to determine what are the next projects and plan to do everything we can to ensure there is minimal business impact. Almost 6 months on, Bend Studio has now reportedly lost 30% of its overall workforce. So, the studio has also put up a post themselves confirming the news of staff being let go, but they also confirm they've begun work on their next project. For me, their next project needs to be a single player title. Simple as that, obviously. I honestly also think they may need to go smaller to release something soon. Otherwise, we're not seeing their next game until 2030 plus. Like, that's far away. If they are going the Days Gone route, develop on what you have and maybe release an expansion in the next year or two, something that's 8 to 10 hours long. So the next 2 years maybe. While that's happening, you also have maybe another part of the team working on Days Gone 2 and, deciding on what that could be. What is the future of the franchise? This allows them to release something sooner, work with what they've got already, and work towards the future. The only problem here, obviously, based on the information that we have, is that there are only 80 people left at the studio, which, that's a small team. Let's see what happens, and if you're enjoying the video so far, hit that subscribe button and join our growing community on our way to 150,000 subscribers. Now diving into the second story of the video, a new PS5 update confirms good news. Reading from Insider Gaming, Sony is set to release a new update for its PlayStation Dualsense controllers later this year, bringing a highly requested feature to the devices. Announced via social media, the new update will allow users to connect their controller to multiple devices at once. That means players should be able to connect the Dualsense to both the PlayStation 5 and a PC without having to repair, or possibly multiple PlayStation 5 systems. Want to pair your DualSense controller to multiple devices at once? Sony said an update planned for later this year enhances pairing functionality. So this, to me personally, is exciting stuff, because now I could potentially have a DualSense controller connected to my iPad and also connected to my PlayStation 5 Pro. I currently have two controllers, one that's already connected to my PlayStation 5 Pro. I obviously have more controllers than these two, but I'm saying in this situation, I have one controller connected to my PlayStation 5 Pro, which is my DualSense Edge, and I also have another controller ready and connected to my iPad for whenever I want to game on that for whatever reason. If it's streaming, if it's playing a mobile game, stuff like that, I have a controller already dedicated for my iPad that's also a DualSense controller that I could just play there. Now I don't have to do that anymore. I can just have my Edge controller, which is my favorite controller, obviously, connected to both devices at the same time. What I'm really curious about is how the switch happens, or does the controller automatically know based off of usage? So if your PlayStation 5 is on and your iPad is on, how does it know which to use, or is there a manual switch on the PlayStation 5 UI that's coming with this update to make that happen? I'm not really sure. I'm curious. But you guys let me know if you're interested in this feature or not. Let me know down in the comments below. And now diving into the final story of the video, new PSP3 leaks are out. So recently I've seen something make the rounds which we partly talked about over 2 weeks ago, but there is new information and that's what I want to dive into here. Reading from WCCF Tech, the PlayStation 5 SDK is getting updated in the near future with a new low energy mode which strongly hints at a handheld system. According to Moore's Law is Dead, Sony is briefing developers and sending out documentation on a new low energy mode for the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Pro, which is getting added soon to the system's SDK. This new mode is a third flag or performance profile besides the base mode and Trinity mode for the PlayStation 5 Pro, which indicates which system is supported by a game and comes with plenty of limitations. So this is limitations for this new low power mode. It limits the system to 8 threads, reduces 3D audio processing to 75%, reduces the GPU core clocks by around 10 to 20%, essentially forcing them to minimum clock speeds required to run a game, and GDDR6 memory bandwidth by half, limits the systems to 36 compute units, and removes PSSR and VR support. All of these limitations reduce power consumption by 20 and 30% while keeping 90% of the console's capabilities without breaking backwards compatibility. Interestingly enough, the documentation provided to developers encourages them to have proper VRR support. While a reduction of the PlayStation 5 power consumption would be welcome in a variety of situations, this likely isn't the primary goal of this new low energy mode. According to Moore's Law is Dead, this introduction of this new mode is probably the beginning of a handheld support system, and framing it like this would be a means to prevent leaks. Known AMD leaker Kepler L2 also believes this new energy saving mode is an emulated performance profile for a handheld system, since the biggest weakness of that APU is memory bandwidth, which is one of the things the new performance profile addresses. So this theory of this new mode being used for a handheld system is something I've already mentioned over 2 weeks ago while covering the low power mode patent Game Rant discovered back then. Now, I'm not saying this obviously to claim some type of credit. I'm just happy to see the logic flow through from credible people. If you read the original patent information, it made a lot of sense that this is for a handheld where power consumption is a big concern. One of the biggest. No one in the decades we've had consoles would have been so concerned to reduce their home power consumption of their console. They'll play their games at minimum specs or reduce the performance so low just to reduce the power consumption by 30%, which is what's mentioned in the article, because what real world amount spent on power monthly does this reduce? Barely anything. This is clearly for a handheld, and considering they're going this far with it, adding this feature to the SDK, the handheld looks likely that it will make it to market. Of course, we're going to have to wait and see how that turns out. One other thing I also wanted to point out is the VRR support. Does this hint at a 120 hertz screen? That's what I want to know. Well, I guess we'll find out maybe later in the year, but you guys let me know if you're excited to hear more on this handheld or not. Let me know down in the comments below. And if you guys did enjoy this video, please hit that like button as it always helps, and subscribe if you're new. I got new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And now I'll check you guys out on the next one. And welcome back to the after show. This is a part of the video where we have a little fun down in the comments below. If you're old, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. For today's thing, what I want you guys to do is the body, obliterate, destroy, and overall harass the comment section with Bring On the Leaks. Later this year, we should be hearing more about this upcoming PlayStation 6 chip, and potentially early next year, we should maybe hear about this new handheld chip. I'm excited for both. If you are as well, destroy the comment section with Bring On the Leaks, and I'll definitely heart those comments like I always do, because I appreciate everybody who stays to the end of my videos. And now, I'll check you guys out on the next one.